Bull Street podcast coming on your face and your ears. That's what you told me to say last time.
No, it's not. We spoke about it, but I don't think we got somewhere. I think we've just got to say something about the fact that it's
in your ears and on your
ears and all over your back. Someone actually said to us, I noticed a comment saying, "Guys, what's with this 90s loaded style thing?
Yeah.
You're better than that."
We're
not better than anything.
Well, we are better than that, but it's still funny to me. That's my sense of humour. Loaded wasn't, because Loaded was at its day.
That was smutty. We're not smutty.
No, I mean Loaded.
I can't go. I am quite smutty.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's all playful. It's not. But the thing with Loaded had its day. I don't know if you remember, Matt. Right? There was a time when it wasn't. You enjoyed your coffee, by the way.
Day. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, am I?
I didn't get you a coffee.
Yeah, what's that?
I got chocolate.
Shitloads of chocolate.
I got lots of chocolate.
Oh, we got to get through this the whole time. Loaded had its day.
I've turned into Alan Partridge.
Right, and there was a time when it was actually genuinely decent. It was like it was almost leading the trailblazer in that kind of laddish culture, and they did a good job. And then it just turned to shit. And but I've got some respect for Loaded, so I'm not insulted by that comment. Although I get that it is base level intelligence and humour.
But there's just like this tiny little odd thing. It's like if you listen to one joke and then judged you and us on that, then it's not really fair, because the other 99% of you is actually other things like tattoos and
who is this guy?
That's it, innit?
Who is this guy? Yeah, pretty much.
I don't even know who he is. You know, and it's cool. Like, we don't mind these jokes. And he actually said, "Look, really like the pod, really like all these things, but that just ruins you." And fine.
Yeah, well, your opinions ruin you, mate. You're fine without your opinion.
Bit defensive.
Yeah, sorry. Everyone's welcome to their opinion. That's why we put it on YouTube, so people can look. Is that wearing a hat inside all right?
If you can do anything you want, because you're quite big time. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I feel big time.
So we've not spoken for ages, right?
Ages. You've had a baby, and you've been away, and you've been busy. And then last week, I was at a funeral.
That's right.
Which is the wrong time for me to then find out that there were Scousers on my podcast.
Oh, right. That's true. It's my podcast even. Ooh. That's what I was saying last week. Yeah. But James has been on it a lot lately.
Yeah.
But I mean, look.
That went downhill a bit.
What did?
With the whole podcast.
The podcast went downhill.
No, he did a great job.
I was actually thinking we should have James on again today.
He is. He's working on some special content that we're putting out next week on Transfer Deadline Day.
Oh, tell us what's happening on Transfer Deadline Day. I don't even know these things.
We're having lots of content for 4 hours, inside 4 hours, and we're doing a whole run. We're covering the games, obviously anything that happens.
That's the mad thing, isn't it? Is that there's games on Deadline Day.
Full calendar.
A full fixture list. What? Every league?
Barring one. I don't know in the Premier League, but I think
there's nothing below the Premier. Is every league? Yeah. Huddersfield are playing.
Playing as well.
What day is it?
31st.
What day of week?
Tuesday. Yeah.
Shit, I think this is our. Oh, maybe it's not. I don't know. But we play like Brighton and Leeds soon.
Two big games
next to each other.
For Houston.
But I think it's Thursday and Sunday, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's quite intense.
So there's always that period in football, isn't there, where you've got two big games coming up, or a series of really difficult fixtures. Yeah. Spurs, when we do it.
And you always go into it going,
fuck,
this is going to define our season.
Yeah, and it does.
Sometimes.
By and large, I mean, if you get smashed, it does. And Spurs tend to do right in these episodes, although
of late.
Yeah, certainly. So next Tuesday, Long Ball Street on. Sorry, Transfer Deadline Day on the Ball Street YouTube channel.
Awesome. That should be good. So look, if you listen to the podcast, by the way, because there's about 20,000 of you that listen every week. Some weeks a little bit more than that, some weeks a little bit less. Make sure that you come and check us out on this YouTube channel.
Yeah, Long Ball Street. Long Ball Street.
Yeah, and make sure you subscribe to the Ball Street channel, because essentially we've got you now. You're with us.
Yeah.
You're invested.
You're in.
You're a part of it.
Yeah, of course.
You know about us, and you know about Flav. In particular. Now, one of the things that I thought was lovely that I saw from Ball Street this week, because we hadn't had a chance to catch up about, is you did the Fighting Cock live.
Yeah, we did.
Tell us about that, man.
So about 5 years ago, we had this idea that we thought that the live show might be a good idea. People were saying, "Why don't you do it live? It'd be good to meet you," and that kind of thing. And
you were like, "Shit."
Yeah, because it's a completely. There's one thing sitting behind a microphone where you can hide. It's a little bit awkward with the cameras pointing at you as well, because just it's not.
It's not a human thing, is it?
Well, it's not what being in front of a camera was never the plan when we started the podcast ever in any form. So to end up doing it for Ball Street is something that I never predicted would happen.
Well, and even so, just to build on that, when we first met and we then started to talk after that, do you remember I said that I think that you would be a great frontman and actually you should be on camera, and you were even kind of at that point you were reluctant, weren't you?
Yeah, I still am. Still reluctant.
It's part of your charm.
But yeah, you know, it's Ad, is that definitely recording? Yeah, you press record on that. All right, cool. Yeah. Just checking. So yeah, we so
that woke him up. he was literally reading an old copy of Loaded on Nuts magazine, just staring at Lucy Pinder's jugs. Shit himself. Adam.
That was the fastest I've ever seen him move.
Whoa, just pushed everything off the desk. Blind panic. Is it recording? Is what recording?
What are we doing?
No, Mum. Don't come in.
Yeah. Have you ever been called masturbating?
Yeah, loads.
Good. Yeah. It's part of it.
Yeah, that's why I do it in trains.
Part of getting there.
That's why I do it on trains and in shops.
We've done it again, haven't we?
We've got
yeah, so I came up with this. We kind of had people saying, why don't you do a live show? And we were reluctant. And then about a year ago, I was like, all right, let's get our act together. And it just didn't happen. It was just the work that goes into putting one together is insane. And I met this.
Fan of hard work.
I'm not. Actually, if I can avoid it, I'd fucking happily not work hard ever again. I mean,
it's not a good thing to say to me.
No, I think that you think I was I would love to sit down and work hard for the rest of my life. I'd love to be on a beach. There forever.
Who'd be on the beach with you?
Ooh.
Explain. Just give me the setting.
Joe guess.
I'm on holiday and I've just come out and I'm like, oh, look, it's Flav. What do I see?
You see, I'm a portly older Flav.
Right. Yeah, what, portly as in you've been eating a lot of...
Yeah, chocolate. More probably concentrated carbohydrate. Consistently pasta, that kind of. I prefer that than chocolate, to be honest. Okay. And you'd find me on this sun lounger with a beer, a book, and a CD Walkman, and just enjoying it. And I'll go, hey Matt, how
so you're alone?
Yeah.
This is what you want. You're trying to get away from everyone that loves
There'll
you.
be people in my bedroom. No, I mean in the flat and the house, but I quite like alone time.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the aim. Anyway, look. So it wasn't hard work. It was just the enormity of the task was I just couldn't face it. And we started Ball Street, and that's what my energy was supposed to be on. And so this guy got in touch with us, Matt, who loved the pod, and he came up with essentially planned it out before even meeting me.
Yeah.
And he said, look, we can do this. And I was like, yeah, we can if you do everything. And then that's how more or less how it went.
Nice.
I put a lot. We all put a lot of work in, but it was a fantastic experience. There was 330 Spurs fans there.
Awesome.
We did the live show. We screened Spurs versus Man City.
Yeah.
And anyone who watched that game knows that we were lucky as hell. I mean, how we got a draw out of that, I don't know. We managed to capture the goal celebrations.
Nice.
We was in a photographer's studio, and the place erupted, beer flying everywhere, and you can imagine the fallout of that.
And what was the format? Was it just a live pod where you just do your usual thing? And you
yes, we did the live pod. We talked about Spurs a little bit. We did some of the things that we know people enjoy on the podcast. Ricky, who's on the podcast telling his funny stories.
He does tell a good story.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller. And we did Barney's Brainbusters, which was like a quiz, which
And did the crowd interact? Was it like, did you get heckled? Was it almost like a live stand-up kind of thing?
We didn't get heckled at all. In fact, when people started talking, people were shushing them and stuff like that. So it was a mad thing.
Right.
And I can't wait to do it again.
What was did you have to take like selfies with people? Were people like?
Yeah, you got that.
Who just so I know?
Go on.
Who's the like if it was a boy band or something like that, who's the popular one? Is it you
not a boy?
Are you like if it's the Beatles?
Imagine if it was D12 and Eminem.
Right.
I'm Eminem. Obviously.
And are they happy being D12 because they might?
Yeah, but D12 don't have a choice because without Eminem they're nothing. So. The rest of the Flying Cock are nothing without me, and they know that, and they accept it.
I love that.
No, that's not true at all.
I'm joking.
Everybody received lots of plaudits and pleasant things. The most awkward thing about it is the was all the people being really nice? Because how do you respond to really positive
I love you.
people?
I always listen to you. I think you're brilliant, and you're just like.
Because how do you respond to that without looking like a prick? Like, so you go, thanks for saying. That's probably the best thing actually.
Yeah.
But going, like you can even be too standoffish. It's a nightmare. It's a minefield. And people ask for pictures and stuff. And again, very, very abnormal. You know, as I've said many times, I'm a plumber's son. I come from a working class background, very humble background. Yeah. And it's an abnormal situation to be in. That said, absolutely humbling and lovely. Lovely, absolutely, and it was great, and we're going to do it again, and
nice.
it's going to be good.
Awesome, mate. Well, that's good. Yeah, it looks fantastic.
For asking about that.
No problem. So, what are we talking about today?
Ryan Mason, first.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what happened. You know, he received a really bad injury, clash of heads with Cahill. So that was bad enough, and that makes news. But there was 2 headlines written about this story. One in the Daily Mirror newspaper, which was Prem star Mason fighting for life after horror clash. The problem with that headline was that it wasn't true. Yeah. It was a sensationalist headline to get people to buy newspapers because that's the way.
So that was actually on the front page of the newspaper. That's not just online.
That was online as well, but right. It was on that. The online article is what garnered the most reaction from people.
Some chocolate. Tell me about it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. And so on online, people reacting. They can retweet. They can react to it straight away. But it's actually shocking that it made the press, because you can understand to some degree why they would write a sensationalist headline online, because they're competing. You know, they're competing with other headlines. They need to draw attention to it, and it leads to some pretty scummy behaviour. So that was the Daily Mail, and you think actually among all of the tabloids, Daily Mail probably get the least amount of flack from people. Daily Mirror, get the least amount of flack from people.
I don't understand what you mean. They get the least amount of flack. You mean
they get less flack than the Sun and the Star, for example.
Right. Okay.
I just think it's the most reputable of all the tabloids. I would say
it's the best of the worst.
Yeah, but it's utter garbage. Don't get me wrong, right?
Okay.
And the Star. The Daily Star really outdone them, which was Ryan Mason. The headline was Ryan Mason head injury, meet the stunning wag at Hull Star's bedside. So, you can see what they're doing. And there's 2 things. Yeah, go on.
It's almost like their behaviours of some of the traditional media businesses, right, haven't changed, right? So this is the kind of stuff that they'd have been doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But the world's changed around them. And now I think that we've all gained this perspective on sensationalism and fake news, because everyone's talking about fake news now like it's a new thing, but let's face it, it's been going on for years, right? Yeah. And it's almost like a lot of this stuff is just so out of date, so out of touch. What's that noise? With reality, that it just makes it look completely stupid. So there's a bit of a backlash, wasn't there, towards them on social media, etc.
But it obviously works though. Regardless of the people are more knowledgeable, which actually makes it more depressing. The fact that it still works. It's still a tactic that newspapers and news outlets are adopting.
Yeah.
You know, they knew when writing that headline that would receive a backlash.
Yeah.
Right? But they did it anyway because actually.
But they do it in everything, don't they? And it's not just these sources. I see media companies that are new media companies that do it. They're like, oh my God, you'll never guess who Man United have signed now, or Man United confirmed new signing, and you're left with this clickbait headline that you go, oh well, it's made it sound like it's going to be a player, and you click it and it's, oh, we've signed a new local partner to the Philippines, we've got a new soft drink partner out there. So there's these things where they're offering a headline or something that makes you go, sign up for this because you're interested in it, but actually what you get in turns out to be something that's dull, irrelevant, but they've made you click on something, and therefore that's then create an opportunity for them to target you with adverts that you probably don't want to see, and that you've not asked for. So, and as well as that, you see it with interviews. You see it with there was the one, wasn't there, the Arsenal one the other week, whereby it's put out by John Cross. Is he?
Yeah.
Is he the same publication actually.
John Cross does
Is he the Mirror?
Yeah.
Mirror.
Yeah.
Mirror as well. Okay. We're starting to see a pattern here. No, and what had happened is he's reporting saying that Ozil has come out and said, if Arsene Wenger leaves, I leave.
That's right. I remember the story.
Yeah, and DT, who I love DT by the way, I think he's fantastic, and I love how he takes on the establishment and that he points out and he sees things quite black and white, but he's very pure in his opinions and the way he explains them. I actually really like because he talks straight. And what the article didn't say that at all, and this is something that happens constantly. They'll write an article and it's not necessarily about something as kind of sick as about a life or death situation. That's when it really becomes sick. But it's about an interview or it's about something that's said, and actually the headline, the characters in the tweet or on the social media post that's written, and these guys have been doing it for years. They know how to write copy and write headlines in a way that provokes or evokes a response, right? And then you click on it and you come through to it, and actually the guy's not said that at all. You see it in MMA all the time, and it's irresponsible. You see Fox doing it like loads on articles on the internet. Conor McGregor says this or disregard so and so or offers, and actually when you read it, they've not said that at all. What they've done is they've offered a completely glorifying, sensationalist headline in order to make people click on it and come through to a story. And the reason that they're doing that is because they don't care about you as the viewer. They don't care about your time. They don't care about what you're up to that day. All they care about is making you perform an action where you end up in a place that they are commercializing.
Yes.
That you end up in an environment where they've got 5 or 6 adverts that are probably forcing you to fucking watch it as well. So you might click through it might be a video, or you come through to the article and then you've got this massive pop-up advert, so you're like, I need to see this, I need to see what Ozil said or what Conor said, and it's boom, you've got this advert that comes in your face and you can't even find the cross to get rid of it, or I'm going to make you watch this 30-second advert that you've seen 10 times already. And this is what's wrong with the world, is all their media models are based on stealing your time and forcing you to watch something that you've not asked for, that you're not interested in, but somebody somewhere's paying for. So it's fraud the whole way round, and it's dishonest, and it does continue. You're right. I don't know how it ends, but all I do know is that people are extracting their trust and their belief in organisations that are doing these practices, and they're reinvesting in places like the Fighting Cock, where it does what it says on the tin, and it's editorial and it's content and it's an experience that's based around passions and a shared love with that audience, rather than trying to get someone to come there on false pretenses, because every time someone lands on a page, it helps them fulfil an ad deal.
Absolutely. I mean, you've nailed it, haven't you? But I think further to that they're not the problem. We are. If we get the media that we deserve, we get the government we deserve.
Shit.
And if people weren't, as a society, idiotic enough to feed that machine, then it just wouldn't happen. People are more savvy. They are more savvy.
So it's almost like, and we were talking about this, Kevin said, it's almost like we all know it's a lie, but we choose to believe it anyway. That's madness, isn't it? But this is what we're all complicit in this system.
Course. Yeah, and we are. And it's not even. You can make a stand. You can make a stand and say, "Well, I'm not clicking on this. I'm not going to read the Mirror." Like a lot of the North don't buy the Sun for something that happened 30 years ago, and they stay strong to that principle.
Yeah.
That ultimately it takes something of that magnitude in order for people to react and say no more. And talking about transfer rumours isn't going to, it pisses you off as a football fan because you've wasted your time, but you really want to absorb that information because it gives you something. It titillates you.
Yeah.
And it gives you something. And I just think I think it's we're to blame, and it won't change until
we find a way of opting out.
Yeah.
Until we find a way. I mean, that's it. When you think about, because Ball Street's mission and vision, which is, in some ways 1% complete, but in other ways we've got a lot of the component parts in place. what we're trying to do, I guess, is or why we exist is because football fans don't have a seat at football's table. You know, there's UEFA, there's organisations like that, there's players there, there's agents there, there's football clubs there, there's broadcasters are there, and they're all making decisions based on football. But do you know what? Fans have paid for the table. Fans have paid for the food that sits on the table, and they're all sitting there troughing, feeding their faces and deciding, hang on a minute, we'll have life better if we move that kickoff to there. We'll have life better if we up the prices. You know, let's change this around, let's change that around because it suits us. Let's make the FA Cup and the England national team less important, and let's create a few more fucking Champions League games because fucking cha-ching. Every time we do that, money just rolls into our laps, you know. So Ball Street exists kind of because we recognise that fans have got no seat at this table, and how we can make a difference is by working together, by clubbing together, by building scale and leverage and influence through our many different passionate areas and audiences. So as well as the fan channels that you see us work with Twitter accounts, there's Facebook pages and Instagram pages, and we're all kind of building these big audiences, which what we're able to do is we're able together start to create moments, to have an impact on things. And what we really want to do is to start to be able to survey what people are up to, learn that this is really important to fans or that's really important to fans, and actually with all this influence and all this leverage, if we all jump at the same time, if we all go turn something off at the same time, that can actually have huge impact.
I mean, and also you can actually influence reaction to this news story as well. So you mentioned John Cross, but there's multiple examples of where social media has turned on specific journalists because what they've written isn't true, and social media is a great opportunity to spread nonsense as fake news, but it's also a great opportunity to serve retribution.
And you know, retribution makes it sound quite eye for an eye and hostile and stuff like that, and maybe the answer isn't always as a clear path of causation between an act and then something that's retribution. I mean, that word kind of like sounds a bit
revenge,
but yeah, that's better. No, but it's more like organising around the problems. That's what's the opportunity to do. You know, we are organised, not as organised as we'd like to be, but we're able to organise then around certain problems and kind of address them, which I think is what you're talking about. And on social media, you're able to do that because people can find other people that care about the same things and share the same things. However, it's bloody difficult because there's so much shit going on, and you're served so many things, and you interpret things based on these quick headlines, and it is hard to know what's real and what's not real.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then you've got Trump, and you've got him coming out, and his chief of staff or whatever coming out and going, no, I'm not talking. These aren't lies. These are alternative facts. What the hell does that even mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
These are alternative facts. So it's a difficult world right now.
We had a good question from Chuck Givens. He says on YouTube, Twitter. He says, in this era of made up football news and rumours and stories, which sources do you trust at all or trust the most? Do you know? I mean, my answer to that.
Go on.
I don't trust any of them. I don't believe anything. Wow. I take everything at a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Unless I know someone personally and I know about their character.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking on a transfer rumour from Sky Sports, I don't instinctively believe that transfer will come off.
No. I
don't feel like Tottenham being linked with a player makes us any more likely to sign that player, whether we're linked with him or not. So the fact is, I've got to a stage where I don't care about this news. I don't look at it. I don't click links. I'm not interested unless it's by sources I consider to be reliable, which aren't mainstream. Essentially, you know, if I want to find out about youth team football at Tottenham, I talk to Windy from the Fighting Cock. If I want to figure out how the fans are feeling at Arsenal, I watch Arsenal Fan TV. If
look for yourself.
Find your own sources, understand what's reliable, and just assume that everything else is bullshit. And it's a depressing way to think about it.
Well, it is, but I mean, look, we've had the internet now for God knows what,
20 years,
20 years or something like that. We've had media for a long time, although we're still in the formative stages. If you think about, because the world's going to continue, it's still quite early in its existence in a way. Social media is still quite early. It's quite defined, but in some ways it's quite early. But people are used to using the media now. So if you know, right, that if you were Tottenham or you're an agent, say, and you want to get your player a move, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna speak to a few people that you know, and you're gonna get him to write about the fact that, oh, so and so's been to look at our player, so and so's interested in buying our player. So you're gonna put out fake information in order to stimulate a bit of talk and a bit of interest, because that's more like to get a move. So it's hard to a lot of times people sit there and go, God, I can't believe Mourinho has said that. I can't believe that so-and-so said that. A lot of times they're not necessarily saying that because that's exactly what they feel. They're kind of saying that to manage the press, to play mind games, to kind of create misdirection. So even if everyone was honest, and even if all these news sites were being dead honest about things, and reporting things that people had said or interest that they had learned from an inside source, you still don't know what's true or not. So I don't think that there's a right answer to that question.
No, there is. It's just a personal preference to how you absorb all of the information. I think when I was a kid, and I, there's ever like new rose tinted glasses about things, but the way you receive your news about anything but football, and it's more dangerous. But you pick up a newspaper and it would be like a trickle. It would be like a stream, okay, and your information would be few and far between. But the journalists had to spend more time thinking about writing these stories, and and there was still fake news and there's still bollocks in the newspapers. Don't get me wrong, but it was a manageable pace. You choose what newspaper you bought. You don't have to pick up the rest of the newspapers. Now it's like opening the door to a monsoon. There's just so much. And it's moving at such a pace. Yeah. You can't possibly absorb it all. Yeah. If you jump into that monsoon, it's going to wash you away. You get lost in what's real and what ain't, and what's healthy, and what do I believe, and all of this stuff is shaping who you are. But there's no real gauge to the pressures and influences that make you to the stories you're reading, and essentially shape your opinions, political beliefs, and what you think is going to happen to your football club. So whereas before you was like, I'm going to read the Mirror because I feel like I'm left wing leaning and the Mirror is more for me. Now it's just like, there is no gauge, there is no correct decision. You just fall into it and hope that what's influencing you is from an honest place, and it's such a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think that you, crying out loud, I remember commuting before social media and being on tubes, and I remember when they launched like London Light, the London paper, and these free papers started, and literally London was awash with discarded copies of newspapers. Now they have bins where people put them in, and it's just the Metro in the morning and the Standard in the evening. But for a while, this model was working, and people were reading these things, and they were everyone on the tube would be sitting there and almost kind of trying to get their room to sit there so everyone could sit and read their paper. You now go on these things, no one's sitting there. Like, for a start, right, not only is there no, like, if you were to see a Sun newspaper or a Mirror newspaper on the tube, I think that you'd
stop.
Yeah, you'd be like, whoa, what the hell? This is like, is this fallen out of a museum? I mean, it's kind of like, it's weird, it's rare. You might see a Standard, you might see a Metro, but certainly if you were to wind the clock back 2 years or 5 years, you're seeing a decline in the amount of them. You're seeing a decline in the amount of people sitting reading them. You're on the tube now. Everyone's like this. Everybody is spending. This is where people's attention is spent. This is where their time is spent. So these people are getting even more desperate to try and return you in some way, shape, or form.
I used to think that the demise of the Sun, the demise of the tabloid was going to be a healthy thing in society, but it's not. It's been replaced by.
Are you saying better the devil you know?
I think we would have been better without online news.
Maybe, right? Maybe. And I think that what is interesting. So what we've been saying, this is where people are moving towards, right? At pace, and at scale. So everyone's spending time like this now. It's not millennials, it's not a young person's thing, it's an every person thing, right? Now, one of the dangers I think that exists at the moment is that algorithm thing. Yeah. Because for a while people have been going, okay, so Flav, he shows up on our server, he likes these sources, he's looked at, I don't know, Benidorm, he's looked at...
Transsexuals.
Transsexuals. So what we're going to do is we're going to serve him with more of this information that we know Flav
Sounds
likes. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
So, getting back to serious now, the danger of this algorithm is that people don't then get much new information. People don't get challenged because once it starts to go, oh, Flav likes these certain things, then it starts to just give you what the computer says that you want.
Yeah.
So now, fine, if you are happy to sit there and the things that you're interested in, you're going to be interested forever. But what about those young people who don't know what the fuck they want right now? Now, young people, when you say that to them, they go, who the fuck are you to tell us what I know? I know.
Yeah, but none of them do.
They don't, because I remember being that age and I thought the same thing, you know? Like, when you're young, you think you know best, and it's actually as you get older, you start to learn things like, fuck, when I was that age and I thought I knew everything, I didn't know anything. And that's an evolution, right? But that's because you move out of your local area and you start to get exposed to different groups of people. You start a new job over here, or you start a new career path, and you get to know different people. And these different people broaden your horizons, and you start to actually challenge some of the things that you once thought to be true. Now, that's great in the real world, and I've been through that as a guy, and no doubt you have, and lots of people watching this will be able to relate to certain things there. But this is the danger with the algorithm, is that algorithm, it starts to almost just give you a reflection of what you already believe. So how does that growth then come? How does that development come?
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's quite a hot topic at the moment, isn't it? People have been talked about a lot, where you know, the internet was once like the Wild West, and you could find and search for whatever you want. But now, if you're unaware, and most people are unaware when they're searching, you do just get served up what you want. When you Google, it gives you preferences based on your previous searches.
It's so annoying. What's that? I kind of thought I'd brought a water down here. I can't find it anywhere.
I know.
Is it aloe vera water? Adam, are you online? Can you email Kathy? Just say I think Matt left a bottle of aloe vera water up near your desk.
I am.
If you could bring it down.
Don't do it on that, just because of.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're actually emailing so you get some water.
I was just thirsty.
I would never do that, and I'm a big deal. So what was we talking about? So
I think we've kind of done with that, haven't we?
It's done it. So actually, just get well soon, Ryan Mason. How about that?
Yeah.
Do you know, I had a friend at
cheers,
work.
Chuck Givens. Good question.
Was a good question.
Great question. We like it when people ask questions like this that make us think, and even though there's no definitive answer to that, kind of what we're saying, the definitive answer is we don't trust many sources apart from the people that we actually kind of know. And actually, until something's happened, that's the only time I'll actually believe it to be true.
Yeah. When there's multiple sources reporting the same thing, you think, right,
but it's also knowing what the agenda of people are, right? And it's almost like it's people's opinions on what might happen.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. So it's kind of know why you go into sources, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a lot of people that are trying to make you click on their link, go to their site in order to fulfill a business objective that they've got.
I've just written, can you bring Matt's water down to the studio, please, Kathy?
It's in a green bottle.
Please.
Aloe vera water.
Kathy, it's in a green
Don't worry, we're not filming, we're just talking.
It's in a green bottle.
Cheers.
We're not filming.
Okay. So
next. Well, one quick thing, just as an anecdote, just kind of as a buffer to the next part. We a mate of mine, or someone I know, kind of connected to my family. She ended up working for the Daily Star as a journalist and writing for their website and for the newspaper. And they would give her a card. She was just a normal hack, an expenses card, and she pretty much, within reason, could spend and account everything. Yeah. Right? You could take your friends out for dinner. Yeah. At the poshest restaurants. It didn't matter. But they would send her into the worst situations. They would she was having to make friends with, track and film and record a person they considered to be a terrorist. But worse than that, they sent her into a drugs den, right? And to buy drugs, lots of drugs, right? Huge amounts, in this known drug den with people with fucking guns and all kinds of shit. Right. That very dangerous area for a young girl, 24, 25-year-old girl, undercover, mic'd up with a camera.
Shut the fuck up.
Right. So they printed. She wrote a story. They ran it. They didn't just run it with her real name and a picture of her. About someone who hello, Kath.
Cheers, Kath. We're just not filming, by the way. Just Kathy, say hello.
There she is. There she is.
Thanks, Kathy. Bless her.
Yeah. So they sent her into this drugs den. And she wrote the story and had her name and her face on it and the image and name of the drug dealers she'd fucking framed.
What the fuck?
So what did people do? They went on the internet. They found out where she was. They found out where her parents worked, where she worked, where she lived.
No way.
She had to leave London, quit her job and run.
What?
But the Daily Star can't run these stories without a real from a real journalist, without a real byline. Yeah, it can't just be a reporter. Because there's no credence in the story. So that's why they give these young journalists fucking money and give them a great job. Everything is sweet, and apart from the actual work they do. Yeah. And they fuck them. And
they don't care, do they? They just care about people picking up that paper and buying it or clicking on the article and reading it.
Of course. I just wanted to add an extra caveat to why the Daily Star is the fucking worst. Anyway, Van Basten came out with some crazy shit this week. I think he's been on the smoking the old wacky backy. That's a bit fake.
So Van Basten, does everyone know who Van Basten is? That's listening to this and watching this. Do you know Van Basten?
Do you remember watching him?
That volley. That's all.
Yeah, but he knows he's freakishly informed for a 22-year-old.
Is that how you're 22?
Yeah, like we do quizzes upstairs sometimes. And he just fucking gets them all. He's sick.
Bastard.
He bastard.
Yeah.
So much better when you're Northern. Bastard.
Okay, I've got a trivia question for you. Who did Huddersfield Town beat in the playoff semi-finals in the 1994-95 season?
No chance.
What league are they in now? I'll have a stab.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a clue. You support them. Yeah, get it up, yeah.
The Brentford. Yeah. Get it up, yeah.
Get it up, yeah. I win.
The bees. I was trying to get Adam to start this chant at Brentford when he goes. It just goes. Do it. Next time you go down there. See if everyone do it.
And then like, we're gonna sting you. We're gonna sting you.
You're gonna get stung.
We're gonna get stung. Yeah. We're busy bees.
I was thinking busy bumblebees. That's what you should start.
Oh dear.
Please do it.
Let's cut that.
Yeah. Van Basten's come up with some rules. Suggestions of rule changing.
What was the context of him doing this? Was it a tweet? Was it an interview? Did the Star make it up?
He works for FIFA. A part of his rules is about improving the game. His job is to ensure the game is as good as it can be, that it moves with the times, that it doesn't get stuck.
Of course, and do you know what? Right, if we're going to make sure the game moves with the times, right, and culturally, technologically, all this stuff's kind of going right. Simultaneously, the world's moving at a rapid pace. Do you know what we're going to do in order to make sure that we stick with the times? We're going to get a footballer to help us, because footballers know this stuff, right? What the fuck? This is, do you know what I mean? Why do... Fine, an ambassador. Yeah. Fine, have Marco. You know what I mean? With like come in and signing shirts and shaking people's hands and kind of entertaining competition winners. But is he the guy that helps the game transform in the current political technologically crazy fucking paradigm shift that's going on right now? I'm not sure he's the guy for that. However, let's have a look at what he has to say about changing the game.
Right,
no offsides. Yeah, good work.
What? Right, Marco. Right, listen. So
offsides.
What he wants to, what he's said.
You can tell his like legs aren't what they used to be. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, no offsides. It's easier for me to.
This is what was reported. No offsides, sin bins and orange cards, which you get instead of yellow cards.
What's an orange card?
I think it's just instead of a yellow card, you get an orange card, which means you have to get off the pitch for a bit. It's a sin bin. No extra time. Games split into quarters and American-style dribbling penalty shootouts. But his reaction to this, just before we go to ham on him, he says, I've seen a lot of nonsense in the media.
I thought I'd contribute to it.
A project of 10 steps. Where did that come from? I named a few things we were seriously working on. Apparently someone included a few things I said in the past, and then it's all published in the wrong way.
Right. Okay.
But this is what he's still coming up with some mad shit. We're working on a couple of things. For example, the solution to time wasting at the end of the match, protesting against referees, a fourth substitution in extra time, the successful test with video referees, and permission to use electronic equipment on the bench like a laptop, right? So But the offside thing's real.
I like how he's got to clarify that what electronic equipment is. You know, stuff like a laptop, in case you're not sure.
Yeah.
Like, he could have just also put like a radio alarm clock. Do you know what I mean? Like, or
Vibrator.
a kettle.
Vibrator.
Is that electric?
Battery, isn't it?
Same thing.
Technically. But yeah, so no offsides. So what would the game be like without offsides? Is the kind of actually
That's daft.
It's the most important rule. It's essentially what makes football an art as opposed to just mayhem.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, understanding control, running with the
timing, utilization of space,
intellect.
I mean, it just would change it, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm not sure that it'd make it.
Shit.
It'd make it mad, because then you'd have people going, right, let's put together our strategy for managing a football team in this regard. What are you going to do? You need some deep line midfield players that can smash it, right?
Long.
That can smash it, lift it long.
Yes.
And therefore you're going to have people that are probably at times going to be hugging not only the touchline, but probably the corners.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go down there, then that's going to stretch the defence and create some gaps.
You'd have a player on the goalie or around that pen constantly.
Yeah.
So essentially the game would become much more direct.
Yeah.
There'd be less dribbling. There'd be
although
no, actually, maybe there'd be more dribbling. There'd be so much space.
It kind
There'd
of
be more
then
dribbling.
would create a greater role or emphasis on those that can kind of carry a ball well, because there's going to be a lot more space. So what you'd have people that would stretch out wide, which would pull defenders because they'd have to accommodate that space. You couldn't just sit on the halfway line and allow someone to punt it to the corner flag, pick it up. You know what I mean? So it'd stretch the play. That's what you'd have to try and stretch the play, which would then allow some guy that can beat one guy just with pace and carry a ball direct. He'd all of a sudden become really important.
I think Carl Walker would become the most valuable player in the world.
Yeah, he would
get
be.
the ball and run
because
the
he
whole-
can sometimes do it in very tight spaces. So if you've got huge spaces, then he'd be able to murder it. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that this is helping Marco.
Yeah, nonsense. Let's scrap that one off. What do you think about sin bins as opposed to yellow cards?
I'm quite a fan of a sin bin.
Because it's in a NFL, isn't it? Is it? It's definitely in rugby. It's in rugby.
No, do you know what? Right, people get a warning, and then they get ejected. They don't leave the game, and then they can get ejected from the game. But you don't see that happening too often, right?
Is it like spear tackles and things like that?
It's that, but it's also various unsportsmanlike conduct things that might be done.
Just quickly, do you know Adam? What's the name of the guy who headed the ball back along the ground?
Oh, that got a yellow card the other day.
What do you think about that? So he the ball was on the ground and he got down, then nodded it back instead of playing it with his foot, and he got a yellow card for unsporting behaviour.
See, I remember when the back pass and that was first came in.
Yeah.
And
that was a great rule, I think.
It was, because football was like, people do this fucking thing that was so annoying. Like, this is what used to happen in football, is that the keeper would play it out to a guy that would stand on the edge of the area. And he'd wait for the attacker to run up to him. Then he'd tap it and then run off, and it's just like,
just a waste of time.
Great tactic, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. So it was good when it came in. But what was the question?
Well, he got booked.
Oh, that thing.
He got booked for being a dickhead.
Move on. Yeah, but fuck it. It's just like, who cares? Fuck it.
Well, the commotion on social media was like, fucking, this is the most ridiculous yellow card of all time. No, you're the most ridiculous journalist of all time. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. I agree.
All right. Good. So yeah, sin bins are
Why does he want to split the game into? Oh, like as in quarters of time.
Yeah. So you would have breaks in quarters.
I'd really kill that game of two halves, kind of. Like saying,
cliche. Yeah.
It's a game of 4 quarters.
For me, I think that would be a commercial thing. Isn't that you can put more ad breaks inside football?
Probably.
But
do you know what? That given who he works for, that wouldn't kind of surprise me.
Yeah.
You're not having that. That's ridiculous.
All right, that's a no.
No extra time. I don't mind the American style dribbling penalty shootouts. I'll be honest with you, right? I'm not saying I'm signing up to that. However, I just think that the amount of key games within tournaments that are dictated via penalty shootouts it's a shame. I don't like seeing games ended that way. I don't.
It's less about skill, isn't it?
Yeah, it starts to become about, well, I wouldn't say luck. It takes balls and it takes, but it's just like, It's just fucking a bit of an anticlimax. Why have we got to do it so then you end up with a hit with a fucking villain or a here? It's just like
and also you'll have teams that will be defensive because they know they've got a better chance for a penalty shootout than being expressive during the game.
Yeah,
and like a team with lesser technical ability players of less technical ability,
it can kill the game, can't it? Because people are scared of losing rather than trying to win. I think there's got to be a. I don't know. I'm up for there being another way of ending it.
I like that. I think I could deal with that.
Yeah, that is more akin to a real natural footballing moment. You know, a penalty is, and a penalty is a good way of deciding that. But teams get through tournaments where they've won like 2 or 3 penalty shootouts, and it's just like
Portugal.
And actually, all they've done is defended, and it's kind of almost a reason to defend. And I want people to have reasons to attack, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's ultimately it. Goals are what make this game exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's just off his trolley, isn't he?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I remember this guy. In fact, just. Can we move on? I'm like bored of Van Basten.
Bored of Van Basten. All right, we've got some questions.
But what a striker! I think we've just got to remember Van Basten for the man that he was, rather than the change management consultant that he is for FIFA.
Yeah, I mean, like you've earned enough. Surely, then again, you probably didn't earn a great deal of money then.
No.
So you needed another job, and this is making up shit for football. That sounds like a pretty good job.
Yeah. I'd like to create a Ball Street manifesto for changes to the game. You know, I think that actually I'd prefer to crowdsource it. So let us know if you're on the podcast, you've got some ideas, come to the YouTube channel and let us know. Comment if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know what changes you think. And I think changes to the game that are akin to this, because I think technology should be in. I'm sorry, it should be. I don't know why it isn't. It's madness that it isn't. But let us know what you think. But also in terms of the structure of it, because there's the Checker Trade Trophy and the junior teams of certain clubs been able to enter into that League Cup.
Yeah.
The Champions League. How often there's a World Cup or anything. What do you think would be better ways? Because I've actually got a theory on the Champions League that I'd like to that I think would make it better.
So we'll take these recommendations and we'll go through some next week, and
I'll put mine then as well.
All right, sweet. We've got a question. Hashtag podcast questions. If you've got one, leave them in the comments below on the YouTube channel, Long Ball Street, and we'll answer them next week. He asked Prince Hakeem, he says, the divide between fans, how local English fans seem to despise foreign fans. So that isn't a question, it's a statement. But do you think that's a real fact? Do you think English people despise fans from foreign countries who support their local teams?
It kind of depends what. It's like when you're a kid, innit? It's like you'd have competition between classes or between bands. So I remember you had the Yellows, the Blues, or different bands, and you'd be competitive. And then when school finished, then those divisions, you'd come together to be against the school that's up the road or round the corner, because it's like, we're this school and they're that school. And then it starts to become, I'm a fucking Yorkshireman, I fucking hate Lancashire, I hate so-and-so.
No, sorry, Matt, I think what he's getting at is how, say you a Liverpool fan despises a Liverpool fan from Singapore or America.
Right.
Which is a tricky one.
It is
a tricky one. I think that the frustrations for a lot of people comes out of the way that fans, matchday going fans, were treated by clubs that increased rise in ticket prices while massive investment went into globalising the brand of your football club. You can understand it from a business perspective. That has to happen if you want to compete. All of the top clubs in inverted colours have worldwide fans. But so frustrated and angry were so many supporters in England about the way the game had gone, rising ticket prices, the distance between the players on the pitch and the fans in the stands. But I think it's changing. You'll always get idiots who go, fuck off, support one of your own, just fucking Liverpool's not for you.
We've had a few people that have commented on some of this stuff actually saying that, look, I'm in South Africa, I'm in Australia, I live here and I support this league. There's a guy who interacts with us quite a bit and he's in the Caribbean. I can't remember exactly where he is.
Simon Preston.
Is it Simon Preston? Yeah, good guy. I like him.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, I support Liverpool or whoever, I forget now. But don't take offence at me forgetting that I've had a baby for about a month now. I don't know what day it is. I forget. It's all wrote. Life's just, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm panicking.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the details. But when you've got, fucking cool, support what you're interested in, right? I think it's weird. Like maybe that comes at maybe that's because if you're in the Premier League, right, and you're a United fan and you're from Manchester, you probably just resent the fact that what people say to you to piss you off is, oh, well, your fans are from fucking London and stuff like that.
Course.
So maybe that's why you get defensive and then you resent people from around the world.
Yeah, there is that.
As a Huddersfield fan, which is very different because you're more concerned with people in Huddersfield supporting Huddersfield and not getting caught up in that Man United kind of Arsenal, Liverpool fan bullshit, right? You're delighted. It's like, oh, fucking hell, there's a town supporters club in Australia. Like, fucking, that's mad. You actually take pride in that.
Yeah.
So, and I support the Oakland Raiders, and I've been over there to a game or two. I'm an international fan.
Yeah.
And I watch every week. I've Game Pass, so I watch that. And I don't watch every NFL game. I follow a team because I've got this loyalty gene. I've fucking supported Huddersfield since I'm a kid. The Raiders have been losing for fucking 15 years until this season. And I've watched every game throughout that whole period, right? Even when they were getting battered. Because I'm a fan and I'm on there's a couple of forums and stuff that I'll talk about every now and again. And
do you ever
they're
get
cool.
Do you ever get they dig you out for being English? Do you know? I think that's what it is. I think in America there's a culture. You've got the franchise of teams. Teams move from city to city. I know it doesn't happen very often, but it's kind of always there's always a risk. Happened recently. 2 teams
have moved. The Chargers have just moved to LA or moving. The year before, the Rams moved to LA.
Cleveland Browns.
The Raiders, by the way, have been trying to get a deal sorted out in Oakland where they are for ages. We've got the worst stadium in the league, basically, but there's no one that's willing to fund the stadium. So we're potentially moving, and might be moving to Las Vegas. Actually, that seems to be we were trying to move to LA, but the league hates it. Everyone hates the Raiders, so we might be even moving to Las Vegas. I wish that I was in a position to create an appetite. Fuck it for the London Raiders. For us to bring the Raiders, because the NFL is playing more and more games. I'd love to bring the Raiders to London.
You'll no doubt be at White Hart Lane in a couple of years, because we're going to have 2 NFL games.
Yeah. Well, we've been over and played, but yeah. So people move. Yeah, the American model moves around. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
But so for in England and Britain, supporting your football club is steeped in tradition and culture, and that principle. The founding principle is that you support your local football club. Yeah. And that is instilled in everybody. Even if that you don't support your local football club, you're aware of that tradition in England. Yeah. So it is alien to support a team in the way as passionately as American fans do, or Asian fans do of the English Premier League. It's still alien to us as English football fans to see the appeal in what they're doing. It's changing. And I've spoken to lots of American Tottenham fans who, their commitment to Tottenham is like no other fans I've ever heard of. Yeah. They're getting up at 3:00 in the morning and watching games. They're driving 6 hours to the bar.
It's all right for you that grew up round there. Yeah. You've never moved. Your whole family supported them for years and years and years to sit there and say, how can you do it? But it's easy for you to do it, right? You've got no choice because you're right there and you're born into it. Yeah. So for other people that have, for some reason, have seen something in Tottenham, something in that narrative, something that's attracted them, and they might have watched a game, the first game they watched on cable out there might have been Ginola or Gaza or Klinsmann or someone that's done it, and they might have been, fuck me, I love it. They might have learnt more about Tottenham's story and got completely hooked on it and just thought, you know what, this fucking thing that's miles away has touched me and moved me in a way. Of course they've got the right to do it. So I think partly it's because it's a very human condition to especially in Britain, to be a little bit anti-change. Yeah. And we're almost like afraid of change, and we don't like it, and it's kind of this is the problem, because like there is that the intrinsic in British culture is never change. It's gone through the ages, and remains that way. And if you have that feeling and the fact that there's a lot going on, the globalization of the Premier League brand, it's a lot for that little Englander. It's a lot for me to understand and accept
and you think I'm frustrated with my game and all this is happening, and you attribute some of that the source of that frustration to what's happening in the game, and it probably isn't fair. So all I would say is I think I don't think anyone doubts the commitment that, say, an American fan has to Tottenham Hotspur. I don't. It's just new and difficult to understand from a traditional English football point of view. It is, and I think that's where some of the hate comes from. Yeah, and it's not warranted.
Yeah, but people always hate things that they don't necessarily understand, and there was for long. Fucking let's not forget it, right? 20 years ago, travel wasn't as easy. You didn't have as much. You certainly wouldn't be thinking about traveling to places like Africa or the Middle East. That would just be absurd, But as we evolve as a bloody planet, and as technology and culture evolves, people realise that actually the be all and end up. People used to think a holiday was going to fucking Benidorm for 2 weeks, and they'd go there because it's like amazing. They've got bloody 40 Towers on the telly. I can get a copy of The Sun and it's a pint, and I can get a fry up for a fucking quid. Yeah. Now, that was what people wanted, bizarrely enough, for a while, and then younger people start to think, well, hang on a minute, really, why do we want to go away and get what we get here when what we get here is quite shit? Yeah. I'd rather try these other cultures, and then you end up with what we've got now, which is where in all kinds of places in the UK, and for anybody that's growing up now, they'll think, what are you fucking talking about? But it was backwards, just probably 15, 20 years ago. You go to Yorkshire and stuff like that, you didn't have that much choice of food. Now in London, you've got everything everywhere, and it's awesome, and it's easier to get around the world. You can travel to all these different places. You can kind of learn languages easy. It's like you can find out, you can book things through technological apps like Airbnb, where you can have an amazing experience and experience the world. So I think that it's a transition in that regard, which is a beautiful thing. Whereas there's lots of people that kind of just like things the way they were because they understand it, and change just scares them. Yeah. And for these people, it's like, do you know what? Fucking get over it.
It's a societal thing, isn't it? Just get over it and don't worry about it.
We're going a little bit broad today, aren't we?
That's good. I like it. Yeah.
A bit of a mad chat.
No, it's good. Just a quick thing. If you want or want to understand the appeal of Premier League football to an American supporter, there's a podcast from someone I know called Aaron Wolf. He's a Spurs fan, and he put together this podcast called The Fan. And it's 45 minutes, and it's fascinating. Like the lengths he goes to, he speaks to his family, and you really do understand. You don't understand why still, right? But you can't understand the commitment he has and the conversation.
Should we get him on? Long time. Is he in America?
He's in America, first time, long time. But he does come over to London.
He's really dedicated to it. Then maybe he should travel.
Yeah, I'll send him. I'll clip this up and go. Yeah. He's a good lad though. All right, Jack Reeve of Bull Street Network and Talk Norwich City. He says brown sauce or ketchup with eggs. Also, does that choice change depending on how the egg is cooked? What freak?
Where the fuck's Craig?
Why?
Because he had some strong opinions about this.
He has brown sauce on everything except on eggs, which he has when he has. Yeah. What do you do?
Me?
I mean, what freak has brown sauce on eggs?
I probably have.
What are you saying?
I just don't think it's that weird.
It is weird. It's ketchup goes on eggs. What? Scrambled eggs, loads of brown sauce all over it.
Scrambled eggs, fried eggs.
Well, that's all right. That's a fry up though, isn't it? What are you saying?
I'd probably ketchup. I would have the only place that I'd really have brown sauce would be in beans. Yes. So if I'm having beans on toast, I put a bit of brown sauce in when cooking it, just to give it a bit of tang.
Yeah.
But on eggs, it's ketchup all day, every day.
Yeah, I think he's one of these dirty bungles who stick brown sauce over everything. What is like up north? What, like, kind of in terms of condiments? What's like the main condiment on the northern table?
Ketchup.
Is it?
Probably ketchup. Yeah.
Something mental.
You'd get your brown, your red sauce, and then you'd have probably salt,
gravy,
pepper, and vinegar. But I'll tell you what you do have, right? Which is kind of down here. I've lived in London now about 17 years, something like that, right? And I found one place in London, and it's actually not in London, it's Surrey, where they do fish and chips with scraps. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what scraps are?
It's just bits of batter in it.
It sounds disgusting.
Bits of batter.
Fucking yes, mate. I'm not being funny. So up north, if I have fish and chips in Yorkshire, it's fish and chips, and basically it's a shovel full of crispy batter, which with salt, vinegar, ketchup is just amazing.
It does sound alright.
It's amazing. But when you're down here, you ask it, and people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. I've heard of it because I've heard you talking about it for scraps.
Don't want it to sound like I talk about that all the time.
You do talk about the kind of...
My diet's off at the minute. Yeah, it's just what's happening.
You've still got 2 fucking dairy milks to eat.
2, I know.
Can I have another whole nut?
Yeah, of course you can.
Alright, we've got a question. Can you do the next question? Because I'm going to eat some whole
Alright.
Marble Halls.
Marble Halls TV. Good guy this. Interacts with us on Twitter quite a bit. Is loyalty for players fair, considering they are human?
They have human traits.
In any career, one wants to better themselves and move on. Even as Gunners know that Van Persie, or Percy, but the detergent sounds better, or Naz, we were right to leave since they won leagues and we couldn't at that point. And I guess Ashley Cole even was one of that that kind of moved on, Cashley or whatever.
Ashley Cole, yeah.
I know Wrighty, for example, said a number of times, it's like he was right to leave. Look what he's won since then. So, you know, as he's getting older and he's looking back, he's going to think, look at all the medals and the things that I won and the big games that I was involved in, and I might not have got that if I was at Arsenal.
You know, you realise you're talking to someone, and I know this guy's game, Marble Halls.
Is he trying to...
He thinks I'm stupid.
Okay.
He knows what he's doing. He specifically didn't say Sol Campbell. Because he's waiting for me to say. He's waiting.
Okay.
I know all the games.
There's levels going on here.
Yeah, that Arsenal fans run. Yeah, this is Inception stuff. It's trying to get in my head.
Yeah.
My ego might be at play here and thinking he ain't, thinking he's doing that.
On an unrelated point to Matt, if I could guarantee that Huddersfield could stay in the Premier League for 30 years with the money, TV rights and top players, and your club didn't lose its character, would you take it?
30 years in the Prem.
Now, hang on a minute. I think that this is these two things are mutually exclusive, because Huddersfield's character is based on the fact that we have local players rather than mercenaries, and we have shit players rather than top players. So we would be losing our character by doing that, but I do love the question. I wouldn't... Fuck me, mate. Look, I get the question, I get what you're driving at, but sport is about competition, right? And it's about winning, and it's about doing things with merit. So I wouldn't take any deal where I was guaranteed that we'd have some place in some system. Because then what are you kind of playing for? So no, I wouldn't do it. I'd rather take 30 years. I would rather, not that we even reign in hell, but I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay down here, and if we get up, then we get up on our own accord, and if we then come back down, so be it. But at least I'll know victory and defeat, rather than sitting like a Stoke or a Palace, which he kind of goes on to mention, sitting there kind of getting happy or sad because some player that's essentially just wants dough and it moves around a lot has come to them or left them, like fucking Adebayor. That's the biggest fear for me, is that Huddersfield end up being one of these clubs that sign folk like that that are only interested in one thing.
Yeah. This also suggests that the Premier League's the holy grail.
It's not.
You're a Huddersfield fan.
Yeah.
Adam is a Brentford fan. Busy buzzy bumblebees. And he's as passionate. You're as passionate about your football club.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to you that you're not in the Premier League.
No.
You're the glory you feel when Brentford end up beating QPR, or you end up having a result over Leeds. That's the same feeling as Spurs when we smash Arsenal.
Of course it is. Or when you score a last minute goal, or the anger and the frustration when a decision goes your way, it doesn't go your way.
It's
you know
identical.
what I mean? Or when your fucking hero leaves the club, or when you sign a guy that you've actually seen play and that you rate and you think, fuck, he's such an amazing footballer, I'd love to see him in a town shirt.
But actually it's better because you at least have a connection with the players on the pitch. You're closer to them than I am to Harry Kane or anyone else. So actually it's better. I actually wonder what it might be like to support a tiny club like Brentford or a little club like Huddersfield. It must be good. I mean, I wouldn't swap.
It's a little club.
Tiny.
We won.
Tiny little football club.
We won the. Do you know what? When they're talking about all this, what makes a big club and top 10 biggest clubs? I'm not saying, just so you're clear, I'm not saying Huddersfield one of the top 10 clubs or biggest clubs, in England or Britain. But people were talking about trophies and success and these landmark things that people had won, and because even though they won it a while ago, it counted for something, right? We were the first club to win the Football League, and I don't mean the Football League as it is now, I mean the Football League which includes the top division, right? We were the first team to win that trophy 3 years on the trot.
Has it been done since?
It's been done since, Man United did it, didn't they?
What, 3 years in the bounce?
Yeah. And I think someone else might have done it as well, maybe like a Liverpool or someone's done it. But so we've got these 3 stars on our badge because that's a hat trick of league wins. Now this was in the late 20s, a while ago, and also in around that era, we had 7 of the English first 11 players were playing for Huddersfield. That's mad, isn't it? 7. Is that ever? I don't know if that's ever happened. So, although it's a long time ago, we have got a few things in our history. So we're not a small club, thank you. We're just a very, very tired, tranquilised
old dog.
Not giant, but
no,
average sized human.
I was just being horrible for comic effect.
That's cool.
But that was during a time where the only professional football was in the north of England. And Spurs, the flower of the south, were the first non-league club to ever win the FA Cup.
Is that right?
Yeah, we beat Newcastle 7-1.
Oh wow!
Newcastle were like the bollock. Anyway,
but it's like, but look, I love fans that support small teams. I love some of the stories and some of the angles, and people. It's bullshit if you're not in the Premier League that you don't enjoy anything, that you don't have anything to play for, and you're absolutely right about what you say about Ad and loads of other people. We had a guy that picked up, because we mentioned Stockport in passing last week, and a guy got in touch and he was like, "Oh my god, fucking you mentioned Stockport."
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I was like, "God man, Edgley Park, I've been there." Alan Armstrong, Kevin Francis. And he's just like, the good old days, you know. Like, do you remember Kevin Francis, a striker, 6'8"?
Yeah. That rings a bell.
Oh, hang on. Kevin Francis, there was, you're thinking Trevor Francis, aren't you?
No, I know Kevin Francis.
Kevin Francis, striker. He went to Birmingham from Stockport. I think he went for £1 million.
That's it.
6'8" he was, or something like that.
Yes, I remember him exactly.
Yeah, he's like, he was a tall, kind of pretty gangly fella.
He was a big lad.
Very big lad. But
he was playing for Birmingham.
But he played for Stockport before then. I think he went to them for £1 million maybe. But yeah, it's all has a role to play, and it's all part of football's very rich tapestry.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Is that it?
So we've nailed another one. Just in the bag. It's the back of the net.
People ask questions about your tattoos. I don't know if it's because you're wearing black today. But it looks like you've had your tattoo recoloured or something.
It's
the
not
colours look
finished,
more vivid.
So I wouldn't get it recoloured.
Well, just tell us a little bit about your tattoo, because people ask this a lot and you've never done into it, or do you not want to talk about it?
Every time I've had sex with a woman, I get a new tattoo.
How many tattoos you got? 1.
6. No, basically, when I was younger, I thought they were cool, and then realised that they're not.
They're not cool.
And so I could go into it, but it'd be too depressing for this podcast. Right, okay. So I'll tell you off camera if you want.
All right, yeah. No, really.
No one really gives a shit, do they? That's the problem with life.
Yeah.
So there's so much sorrow in the world because no one really gives a shit, do they?
Anything but themselves.
Exactly. Which is why you can find us on a YouTube channel called the Long Ball Street Pod.
See you at the far post.
Well, hang on.
Oh.
You can also find us on SoundCloud. We will be moving to audio, baby.
Yes.
And iTunes and that. So subscribe and tell your friends, and leave your comments and questions on the YouTube channel, The Long Ball Street, and we will see you at the far post. I've sort of stolen your line, but you did say it first.
Latest potatoes.
Bye.